Hi there. How do I look today? I think I look pretty jazzy. Interesting eyes, huh? I like the way they blink. Very mechanical. This is representing how I'm trying to come out of the way I've been programmed and the mechanicalness of that. Aw, darn. You know, we've all got it in there. But notice, look at my head there. I have a brain too, or something that looks like one. Yeah, looks like one. Okay, whatever. Maybe I'm a droid or something. Anyway, we all have mechanical aspects. We really do. And they're pretty dumb. We're these cosmic, light speed is slow beings. And here we are, running around thinking we have to transport our bodies in these stinking motor vehicle things. It's bizarre. Really bizarre. And horrible things can happen, like crashes on the road. Ah! Very primitive. You know, you've probably lived in civilizations that weren't this primitive before. Maybe you've touched bases with that feeling too. I remember one time I was meditating, and I've never been a fancy one for meditation. I never got into it deeply or seriously, but I'll just ponder or contemplate, or it's usually very devotional. But anyway, this one time, when I came back from my meditation and I opened my eyes and brought my awareness back into 3D, I remember being very discombobulated. I remember feeling strange as I was recalling the kind of civilization I was in and the state of advancement or non-advancement of the world. And I remember as my thoughts flitted here and there and landed on things like the fact that we get in automobiles and drive from point A to point B, and I remember being shocked and amazed at how primitive that was, and that we crawl around on the surface the way we do. So, maybe it's not such a bad thing that we don't have access to all of these memories. It would be kind of rough on our sense of contentment. You think maybe? We're going to find out sooner or later that Source has it all worked out pretty well. Yep, yep, yep. Okay, why am I here? Why am I doing this? I haven't a clue. I mean, I'm still feeling stupid. I guess I'll be doing that for a little while, and that's good. It's a sign of something. Change. When you're on the path, and I don't like words. They're getting worse and worse, So be in heart, touch bases with the real meaning here. Just kind of skim the surface of the words. Don't believe them. But when you're on the path like that, being in heart is heaven. We take heaven with us, friends. Right now, we're in all of our embodiments, everywhere. Even in this one, right now, we're doing everything we ever did, thinking every thought we ever thought. We just think that time flows this way. It doesn't. It's an illusion. And the beauty of it is that if, like, everything's still alive right this minute, if you have someone dear to you, even a pet or something that you lost that isn't physically with you anymore, that one is still so alive, so real, and so with you. You're just not with yourself. Ha! I like that. Everything is now. And in our self with a capital S, higher self, inner self, heart, whatever you want to call it, we have access to that. And it's very real and it's very right now. We're not separated from anything. See, what time does is it separates out that which is into little bits and pieces. Little bits and pieces. And that just isn't so. Everything's all one and it all flows together and interacts and integrates, and every vibration that you send out has an effect and an influence on all of life everywhere. And that way, I think it's a beautiful thing for the yogis and the sages and the ones meditating in the mountains, you know, in the Himalayas or wherever. They're in their cave, in their isolation, and yet still they're helping support the world. They're helping support everyone in heart and in light. Every good decision you make lends momentum and impetus to everyone else. It helps everyone else make a good decision. Now, of course, the reverse is true. Every bad decision you make makes it a little easier for others to make a bad decision as well. We're really one. We really are. And as we step out of all of the limitations, all of the thoughts and ideas that we've allowed to limit us, no matter where they came from, it doesn't matter. If we were programmed as a child, if we accepted it, if somebody drilled it into us in school, it doesn't matter. If it's a part of society, there's no blame game in heart. Absolutely none. In heart, we're always in this minute, in this now. And blame literally doesn't make any sense. It's like some kind of LSD thing, you know. There's no lasting, no, it just doesn't make sense. Neither does fear. But anyway, all this thing about taking that which is and pretending one thing can be separate from another, it seems to me that's part of what's going away. And that's what time is. As if 1 minute could be separate from another minute. Ain't so. You know? So anyway, something else I wanted to share was, if we look at where we know Western civilization went wrong. That's patently apparent. So we look out there, and Western civilization doesn't have heart. It has head, it has brains, it has mind, but that's no good all by itself. And to me, that's obvious. You know, I mean, Western civilization is a mind-based, left brain-based society and way of living and being and doing and thinking and acting. And I would say it's obvious that it's no good without heart. It could also be framed as the masculine absent the feminine, in which case, you know, what we're seeing is abuse of power. It's not that power is bad. But again, absent the feminine and the flow, the everything that the feminine is, the masculine is insufficient. It doesn't take us to good places all by itself. And the feminine probably wouldn't either. I mean, if it was the feminine all by itself, it probably wouldn't have the verve and the thrust to get things done the way the masculine does. I don't know. But balance, to me, is the ideal. And so when I look at society, I had just a real quick flash of understanding recently, and it was like one of those, oh my God, it's so obvious. Why didn't I see it before? And that's this specialization that we've gotten into. I know when it was. I was listening to Terence McKenna. I don't do that by myself, but every now and then someone sends me a clip, and you know, the guy's pretty cool. I mean, if you think he's just a pothead, well, you don't know much. He's a scientist as well. And the beauty of a Terence or anyone that has been, oh, it's not that he's a Renaissance man, but it's the beauty of the broad education of the having applied the self in diverse and divergent fields at some depth. And so what comes together is a unique blend of understandings. And so often the genius that is known for this or that, like Newton, did you know Newton was more of a mystic and more I don't know if he was religious, but he, you know, I think he was. The things that people are known for, a lot of what they're not known for is pretty exciting as well. But, you know, that's just shoved to the side because people are in mind and we're wanting, it's like wanting the active ingredient. Willow bark and willow bark tea eases pain, does a good job of it too. Well, from that, the scientists took it into the lab thinking they were so bright, and they isolated the active ingredient. I always say it wrong, so I'll just say it's aspirin. And that's where it came from. But these things work in a symbiotic way, and the body and nature, all that's natural, is far wiser than man in his mind. And so it's not so good to isolate things, and even worse than to come up with a chemical synthetic or imitation of nature. Pretty sad. We haven't been very smart. And so as we look at science, it's the intensity of the specialization, I would say, that has castrated science and its ability to be new and exciting, alive and revolutionary. There are some, and there are some fields where the light is burning brightly, but there are too many restrictions. There are too many borders and boundaries that people can't cross, and there's not enough cross-discipline collaboration and study. You know, God forbid that you should specialize in half a dozen fields, you know. Who ever heard of that? So anyway, you know, that's just my little rant on specialization, but it's just another, I mean, it's like the medical field, the doctors, you know, they get off into their own specialty and nobody specializes in the body anymore, nobody in the West. And in the East, there are marvels and miracles of understanding because they're looking at the body as a unit and the whole flow through it. And so, in my humble opinion, it's time for us in the West to wake up, grow a little humility, and bow down appropriately before the indigenous peoples of the world for their union and oneness with nature and their ability to live in heart, and before those in the East who are the epitome of the holistic way of viewing the body, health, nature. How about we go back to the days when the doctors were paid for people being in health and not for when they're ill. Let's turn everything upside down and backwards. You know, it's upside down and backwards already. So if we turn it upside down and backwards, well, won't that be right side up? There's some good upside down and backwards thinking for you. Have a good day. See you soon.